Welcome to Ready Parent, Ready Teen. If your house is still running on summertime, and suddenly the calendar is shouting, school starts soon, you are not alone. Today, we're talking about how parents can help their teen or high school grad get ready to go back to school mentally, physically, and materially. And we're not talking about some perfect Pinterest checklist. We're talking about real life. I'm speaking from a seat I've sat in for a long time. I raised 4 children, and we prepared for school in 3 different countries, in 3 very different education systems: the British system, the American system, and Polynesian systems. Our family learned how to walk into a new school building with new expectations, new schedules, new teachers, and still find our footing. All 4 of my kids went on to graduate from college. 1 earned a PhD, 2 earned master's degrees, and 1 earned a bachelor's degree. And I want to add something that matters if you're listening and thinking, it's too late for me, or I'm not academic enough to guide my child. I went back and finished my own bachelor's degree at age 58. So when I say I understand the nerves of starting again, I mean it. I've also worked in a university school of education, helping prepare future teachers. And my family lived on a college campus for 10 years. We knew professors and students personally, not just from afar. I've seen how education looks from the kitchen table and from the classroom side, too. So consider this episode a steady hand on your shoulder as you head into the school year. We'll go through 3 big areas: mindset, body and routines, and practical preparation. Then we'll finish with what I think is the most overlooked skill of all: building independence without losing connection. I love that you're framing it as steady and practical, because a lot of parents feel pressure to fix everything in 1 week. Like, we should have started earlier. Yes, and I want to say this clearly. You can do a lot in a short time when you do the right things. Back to school doesn't require perfection. It requires clarity, consistency, and a calm plan. Okay, let's start with mindset. That's the one that's hardest to measure, but it affects everything. Exactly. The mental shift from summer to school is real. Even for kids who generally like school, the change can feel heavy. Earlier mornings, less freedom, academic pressure, social dynamics, and the constant navigating of expectations. Here's the first mindset step I recommend. Name the transition out loud. Tell your tween or teen. It makes sense if you're feeling weird about school starting. Transitions are hard. That sounds simple, but it changes the energy from, "What's wrong with you?" to, "We're in this together." So instead of assuming they're being lazy or dramatic, you're acknowledging it's a real switch. Right. And once you've named it, you can move into the second step. Help them visualize what the year could look like. Not in a pressure way, in a grounded way. Questions like, what do you want to feel more of this year? Less of, what do you want to get better at? What do you want to try, even if it's a little scary? Some kids will talk immediately. Others will shrug. Don't panic. Sometimes you're planting seeds, not harvesting a full conversation. If your teen gives you one-word answers, try offering choices. Do you think this year will be more stressful, less stressful, or about the same? It's easier to answer a scale than an open-ended question. What about school anxiety? Especially for kids who struggled last year, academically or socially. That's important. If your child is carrying a tough experience from last year, your job isn't to talk them out of it. Your job is to help them prepare for it differently this time. Here are 3 confidence-building questions that work across ages. What's one thing you did last year that you're proud of, even if it was small? What's one thing you learned about how you learn? And what's one support you want in place this year? You're guiding them to see themselves as capable and adaptable, not trapped by a label like bad at math or not good at school. You've navigated different school systems. Does that change the way you think about confidence? It really does. Living in different countries taught my family that the system is not one fixed thing. In one place, the grading might be strict and formal. In another, school might be more community-centered. In another, there may be more standardized testing and constant measurement. When kids realize that schools are structured differently around the world, something powerful happens. They stop thinking success is only one narrow definition. They start understanding that learning is bigger than one teacher's style or one school's rules. That perspective alone can lower anxiety. It turns school from a judgment into a challenge you can navigate. All right, let's move into physical preparation. Parents hear that and think, sleep. Sleep is the headline, yes. But it's more than bedtime. It's rhythms. During summer, many families drift. Meals shift, screens expand. Everyone wakes up at different times. Then school shows up like a train schedule, and the body is shocked. So here's the practical approach. Don't try to flip the entire schedule overnight. Instead, shift gradually for about a week. Move wake-up time earlier in stages, and pair it with a reason to get up. Not just because I said so, but something concrete. Breakfast together, a short walk, a quick chore that gives a small win to start the day. You're basically saying, set the body clock and the mood clock. Exactly. And we can't ignore food and movement. I'm not talking about dieting. I'm talking about energy and mood. When teens skip breakfast and run on caffeine, they're starting the day in a deficit. A simple goal is enough. Protein, water, and something with real substance. It doesn't have to be fancy. And movement helps with stress. It could be sports, but it could also be walking, stretching, biking, anything that helps the body process pressure. A teen with a moving body is often a teen with a steadier mind. Okay, now the big one parents love, material prep. Supplies, clothes, backpacks, devices. Where do you start without overspending and overbuying? Start with an inventory, not a shopping spree. That's the rule. Put everything on one table. Last year's supplies, pencils, chargers, binders, whatever they used. Check what still works. Then compare it to the school list, if you have one. And here's a mindset shift. Supplies are not just stuff. They're a signal. When a teen has what they need and can find it easily, they feel more in control. Control reduces stress. Let's make it practical. Think in 3 categories. Category 1. Essentials for daily function. Backpack, basic writing tools, a system for papers, a water bottle, lunch plan. Category 2. Class-specific tools. Calculator, art materials, sports gear, lab notebook, whatever their schedule requires. Category 3. Recovery and backup. A spare charger, an extra pen, an emergency snack. Those little backups keep small problems from becoming big crises. I like that you included system for papers, because parents get stuck thinking it's all about pens and notebooks. The paper system is huge. Kids don't fail because they didn't have a highlighter. They struggle because they lose the handout, forget the due date, or can't find their notes when it's time to study. So whether your teen is digital or paper-based, they need one consistent method, one folder per class, or one binder with clear sections, or one digital folder with a naming system they actually use. It doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be repeatable. Let's talk about schedules and teachers. That's where the stress spikes. New teachers, new expectations, new rules, and sometimes a totally different vibe in each class. Yes. And this is where parents can do something that feels small but makes a major difference. Help your teen create a first-week plan. Here's what that plan includes. First, map out the weekly schedule, class times, practices, part-time work if they have it, and any family commitments. Second, identify the heavy days and the light days. Third, decide in advance when homework will happen on heavy days. Because what often happens is teens get home on a heavy day. They feel overwhelmed, and they avoid starting. Avoidance turns into late nights. Late nights turn into tired mornings. And then everything snowballs. So you're planning for friction, not pretending it won't happen. That's it. And this applies no matter the school system. Whether the structure is British, American, Polynesian, or anything else, students still face deadlines, teacher preferences, and a steady flow of tasks. Now, let's talk about teachers, because this is where your teen's independence starts to matter. Encourage your teen to learn each teacher's rules of engagement early. How do they want assignments turned in? How do they communicate updates? What happens if you're absent? Where do you find missing work? If your teen can answer those questions by the end of week 1, they're already ahead. Parents listening might wonder, how involved should I be? Especially for tweens, but also for teens who are close to college. Let's break it down by goal. You're not trying to control school. You're trying to coach skills. With tweens, more structure is appropriate. You might check the planner nightly, help them pack the backpack, and set a consistent homework window. With teens, you gradually shift from managing to monitoring. You might ask to see their system once a week rather than every night. Here's a phrase I used often. Show me your plan. Not did you do it. Show me your plan. That invites responsibility without turning you into a detective. That's a good line. Also, you mentioned living on a college campus and seeing students up close. What do you wish families understood earlier about college readiness and independence? I'm glad you asked. College success is not only about being smart, it's about self-management. The students who struggled weren't always the ones who lacked ability. Often, they lacked routine, follow-through, and help-seeking skills. So if you want to prepare your teen for college and independence, start teaching 3 habits now. Habit 1. They track their own deadlines. Even if you remind them, they should be the one writing it down and checking it. Habit 2. They communicate. They email the teacher, they ask questions, they advocate respectfully. Habit 3. They recover. When they mess up, they make a plan to fix it instead of hiding it. That recovery skill is huge, and it's emotional too. Kids can spiral when they get behind. Yes, and this is where parents can become a safe landing place without becoming a rescue helicopter. If your teen says, I'm failing, your first job is to slow the moment down. Ask, what do you mean by failing? Is it one assignment, one class, one test? Then, what's the next smallest step? Emailing the teacher, checking missing work, creating a 2-day catch-up plan. Small steps rebuild confidence. Catastrophic thinking destroys it. Now, let's hit a topic every parent is thinking about. Screens. Summer usually means more screen time. School means they need devices for work, but also distractions are everywhere. The most helpful thing isn't a lecture. It's clear agreements. Decide on a school night rhythm. When phones are parked, where devices charge, and what done for the night looks like. Make it a conversation, not a courtroom. Ask your teen, what distracts you most? What helps you focus? You might be surprised by their honesty. Many teens know exactly what pulls them off track. They just need help setting boundaries they can maintain. Okay, you've given systems and routines, but what about the emotional side of returning? Friends, fitting in, pressure to perform. Here's what I learned across cultures. Belonging matters everywhere, but it can look different. In some environments, there's strong community support. In others, there's intense competition. Some schools emphasize uniformity. Others emphasize individuality. So I encourage parents to teach 2 things: social courage and social recovery. Social courage is saying hello, joining a club, sitting with someone new. Social recovery is handling the awkward moments, the misunderstandings, the days they feel left out. Ask your teen, what's one small brave thing you can do this week? Not a personality transformation. One small brave thing. Let's talk about projects and assignments, because once school starts, it can feel like it never ends. How do you stop the household from becoming a constant stress factory? You build a weekly reset. Pick one day, maybe Sunday, and do a 20-minute check-in. What's due this week? What's coming up? What needs supplies? What needs time? And I want to emphasize time planning. Teens often underestimate how long tasks take. So teach the habit of overestimating. If they think it'll take 30 minutes, plan for 45. If they think it'll take 2 hours, plan for 3. That one habit prevents late-night panics. You also have credibility because your kid succeeded academically, but you're not presenting this as bragging. It's more like, we tried things, we learned things. That's exactly it. My kids did well, but it wasn't because we never struggled. We absolutely struggled. We faced new schools, new cultures, different expectations, and plenty of moments where we had to regroup. And I also know, personally, what it means to return to education later in life. Finishing my degree at 58 taught me humility, persistence, and the value of asking for help. Those are the same skills your teen needs, whether they're a straight-A student or still figuring out how to pass algebra. Before we wrap, can you give listeners a simple back-to-school checklist that doesn't feel overwhelming? Yes. Let's do a 3-part reset, just like we promised. Mental, physical, material. Mental reset. Talk about the transition. Set 1 or 2 goals that focus on habits. And identify one support your child wants this year. Physical reset. Start shifting sleep and wake times. Plan a realistic breakfast option and build in some movement most days. Material reset. Inventory supplies. Set up a simple organization system and create backups for the common problems like dead batteries and missing pens. Then add one more thing, a weekly check-in. Put it on the calendar now. What encouragement do you want to leave parents with, especially those who feel behind? If you're listening and thinking, other families have it together and we don't, I want you to hear this. You don't need a perfect home to have a successful school year. You need a steady home. Your tween or teen doesn't need you to know every answer. They need you to help them build a process. How to plan, how to start, how to ask for help, how to recover. That's what leads to confidence, and that's what leads to independence. This school year is starting soon, so start with one conversation today, one small schedule shift tonight, and one simple organizational reset this week. Momentum builds faster than you think. And if your teen rolls their eyes, then you smile and remember, eye rolls are often just a cover for, I actually do need you, but I don't want to admit it. Keep showing up calmly. Keep inviting them into ownership. Ready parent, ready teen. Thanks for listening. I'm cheering for you and your family as you step into a new school year with more confidence, more peace, and a plan you can actually live with. This is Ruth Kongaika, host of Parenting with Love, Light, and Laughter. Share this with other parents who are probably experiencing the same challenges as you are. Return in 2 weeks for the next episode. Aloha!